My name is Akin Fish, and if you are my student, I will be giving you 5 tips, all right, to prepare your pond for new fish. All right, some steps you actually do in the pond, all right, some other steps you will do outside the pond. So a lot of people, start their fish farm enterprises, maybe in their compound, maybe just even in a business, and then a lot of times their fish die after 1 week, 2 weeks, and then they start asking, what did I do wrong? I received fish, the fish died, and it's mainly because they did not prepare their pond very well. So I'm going to give you 4 steps, and then I'm going to give you one challenge, all right, something that I want to personally challenge you for, so that your enterprise will succeed. All right, number one is that you need to know your stocking density. How much fish can this pond actually take? And there's a simple calculation to it, all right? It is length times breadth times height times 5 divided by 3. So let's say your pond is 10 feet in length, 6 feet in breadth, and 4 feet in height. Now, number one, the mistake you probably make is thinking that, since it's 4 feet height, you calculate that for your fish. No, you will not fill your pond up to the brim with water, right? Your pond will probably be filled with 2.5 or 3 feet. So that's the actual volume of water. So you need length, breadth, and height of water inside the pond. So that's 10 times 6, which is 60, times 3 feet. If we assume that you fill the water up to 3 feet, that's 180 times 5. That's 900. 180 times 5 is 900. All right, divided by 3, that's 300. So that pond can take 300 fish. This calculation works for tarpaulin ponds, also works for concrete ponds. Now, for tanks, you have to use the number of liter. Now, WHO will say that a 10 to 20 liters for one fish, but that is because they have clean water and they are able to maintain such clean water. For those of us that are maybe in Africa or in Nigeria, to be precise, you know that you are not able to maintain the water quality like they would. So I would say stick to the lower end of that calculation. Use 20 liters for one fish. So if you have a 1,000 liter tank, all right, by that calculation, you should be able to keep 50 fish. But don't forget, you will also not keep that 1,000 liter. You will also not fill it up to the brim. You will also just fill it up 3/4 of the way. So use that to make your calculation properly. You know that white tank that you see that has iron around it that they call chemical tank? I would personally advise that you keep only between 30 to 40 fishes there. All right. Now, those videos you used to see online with people keeping fish in drums, black bucket, and all of that, between me and you, as my honest fish farmer that I have been in 13 years in fish farming now, that is not sustainable for fish that you expect to grow at commercial rates. Now, don't forget, you can have it beside your house, behind your house, and be doing something to play with, and it will grow, but not to grow at a commercial rate. We're talking about business here. We're talking about money. All right. So if it's just for you to play in your house, then that's fine. But if it's for business, then no, that will not work. All right. So we've talked about the stocking density of knowing how to calculate your stocking density for your fish. All right. Now, the next thing is to wash your pond. Now, if you're using a earthen pond, you'll probably need to demud, poison the pond so that any fish that is there would be killed before you bring in new fish, because those big fishes will eat baby fishes. And then net your pond to prevent predators, to prevent those big frogs that will come and eat your juveniles. All right, that's for earthen pond. But if it is for a concrete pond, all right, you just need to wash it with detergent and rinse with salt. Now, because it is probably a new pond, you probably want to what people call fertilize the pond. But you see, fertilizing that pond is only for tilapia fish, not for catfish. Tilapia can eat, greens, and that's why you fertilize the pond to produce the abundance of green. But for catfish does not eat green. They eat food that you give it and something that is alive. So there's nothing like fertilizing the pond. I hope you understand that difference, all right? But you wash the pond with detergent and then you rinse it with salt. Now, as long as you are able to rinse with salt, this works for concrete pond, this works for tarpaulin pond, this works for tanks. So all those videos, all those people that you see that they put banana leaf inside pond, you can do that for 18 pond. And don't forget what I said, if it is tilapia, if it is catfish you are farming, then you don't particularly need that. You just need to wash with detergent, and rinse the pond with salt. All right, so that's step number 2. Step number 3 is that you fill your pond with water before your fish come, at least 24 hours or 48 hours before your fish come. It's not the day that your fish is coming in the morning you now be pumping water. What it does is that it allows atmospheric oxygen mixed with your water, so your water is well aerated for your fish as they come. So make sure you have pumped water down into your pond. I personally tell my students to pump water into their pond for at least 5 days before your fish come. All right, I mean, some of my students are still watching this video, and you know, we've walked this journey together, right? You know how we do it. 5 days before your fish come, let the water be in the tank already. All right, now something you also need to do is that ask the person who is selling juvenile to you that what size of fish feed is my fish eating. So when they tell you that, oh, they are eating 1 mm, I would advise you to start with that size of feed. I know that 2 mm size of feed is actually very good and, you know, cheaper for you to start with. But if you start with the smaller size, you are able to feed all your fish consistently, not only the big ones. So I will tell you, step number 4 is that ask the person who is supplying juvenile that what size of feed is the fish currently eating, and then buy that size. All right, and if you can see the same brand, the better. However, I understand that different brands of feed are not available everywhere, so buy whatever brand you use, but make sure you start with the size of feed that they were formerly eating. All right, so that's step number 4. We know our stocking density, we've washed our pond, we've rinsed it with salt, we've also pumped water into our pond, we've gotten feed available before the start of the fish cycle. The 5th one is that when you receive your fish, don't feed your fish for 24 hours. Now, I used to tell my students that the vomit of fish is harmful for fish. So please don't be in a hurry to say, oh, the fish have just come, let me feed them. No. The person who is sending you the fish will have conditioned the fishes. And what do we do with conditioning the fishes? We regulate the temperature of the fish, and then we also starve them for 24 hours before we send them anywhere. So we send fish all over Nigeria. We send fish to Kano, Port Harcourt, you know, I even send fish to Ghana and all of that, all right? But we condition the fish before we go there, before we send it. Now, the idea is also that when you two receive the fish, you condition the fish. So for the next 24 hours you keep them inside the water and just leave them. Imagine if you know, a giant just comes, shakes you, moves you from one place to another location, and then when you just reach the new location, it gives you food. Will you eat? You won't eat now, because you are still wondering, am I safe? Am I not safe? And that's the same thing for fish. All right, so before you get your fish in your pond, when you just get your fish in your pond, keep them for 24 hours before you feed. Now, let me give you one bonus point. Spot feed. All right, so spot feed your fish. Know that, okay, this is the fish, this is the place I want to feed the fish from, and try to make it the place that is furthest away from where the water is coming in from. So if water is coming in from here, don't feed in that place. Feed closer to where the water is going out to. It helps the water to flush, you know, the remaining parts of your feed as the feed continues and exits. All right, so once again, my name is Aki Fish. I hope this has been a little tutorial for you to, before you receive your fish, if you want to just start your fish farm, I would strongly advise that, you know, you get trained however you want to get trained. I think one of my greatest success story from YouTube is actually the people I have trained and people that, you know, we are still walking this journey together, and it's because of you that I'm releasing these videos. So my challenge to you is to actually find a mentor. All right, now what I have found out is that there are a lot of things you can learn from other people. Somebody in your area who is doing fish already. If you don't have one, let me give you one trick. All right, go to the market, all right, and tell them that you want to buy fish. Find the people selling fish. Tell them that, you want to buy baby fish, juvenile fish. They'll tell you, they don't know where they sell it. Or you not tell them, oh, can they give you the number of the person who sold them that big fish, so that you can get the small fish from them, or anybody they know, because they are in the industry already. They might give you one number or two so that you can get juveniles from them. All right, and then this thing I'm telling you about mentor, before you reach out to me to mentor you, please try to first find somebody in your area. If you don't see, then you can join my course, all right? You can join my coaching stream, all right? But first try to find a fish farmer in your area to learn from. So please reach out to me on WhatsApp, all right? 0816 138 5163. Please reach me on WhatsApp. Don't call me, because sometimes I'm not able to pick all the calls I receive. Do you understand? But all the messages on WhatsApp, I respond to all of them. All right. So I might be inside a fish pond. I might be, with my business partners. I might be selling fish at the time. But for whatever reason, I'm not able to pick all calls. But I'm able to respond to all messages. All right. So please let me also know, this is a new way of doing videos I'm doing, that I'll be putting videos like clips from my farm into the video. I've never done it before, so let me know if this helps you in any way, all right? Or if you like the old video where I'm just standing on the farm and then we are talking. Today we have allowed, after demodding the pond, I showed you that video, that's my last video. Now we've allowed the water stay for a while, and now we are introducing fish to our pond. We've introduced fish to the pond already. If you can look at the pond, you will see that we've introduced 1,500 fishes to the fish pond, and now we are netting our ponds. All right, so why do we net our ponds? There are all these birds that are predators that come and feast on juveniles. All right, so juveniles are fishes that are between 6 to 8 weeks. Meanwhile, fingerlings are fishes that are between 4 to 6 weeks. I prefer not to stock fingerlings in a netting pond because I feel they are still very small and they cannot, they will not know when you are feeding them because they are still small, and the netting pond is so big. But if you stock juveniles, at least the fishes are bigger to a good point, and then they can come to where you are feeding to feed your fish. So I always prefer that you stock juveniles. In fact, if you have the space, if you have like a tank, I think you should even stock like jumbo. That's keep the fishes in a place, let them be big enough first. That's what I ultimately will do. When they're like 50 grams, I'll then sort and stock in a netting pond. That will be my best practice. So if you have your own farm that you can do that, that's best practice. But as you can see, we are netting the ponds. I'm not sure you can see the net in my hand, but you can see that there's net on the ponds. And then we also have the side net. And that's because, so you can see the side net round. And the reason why we have the side net is that most netting ponds are located in places that are swampy, or there's still bush around. Like for instance, on this site we have alligator lizards or monitor lizards, and those monitor lizards, they eat fish. Do you understand? They eat fish. They will just enter. They are beautiful swimmers. They eat fish, so they will just enter your pond and eat your fish. So we use this side netting to keep those predators away, and then we use this other netting to keep the birds away, and then we peg it down. So I'm not sure if you can see, but we peg it down, and then we have the net on the surface of the pond. All right, so after that we are going to keep the fishes for 24 hours before we start feeding them, because they've gone through stress of transporting them to the farm. All right, we'll leave them for 24 hours for them to be stabilized and for the temperature to have stabilized with their body temperature, and then we now start introducing the feed. As I mentioned to you earlier, I told you that we always think of the smallest fish in our ponds. All right, so we are always thinking of the smallest fish in our ponds. You don't, when you are feeding fish, you always think of the smallest one, not the biggest one, because the fish feeds have different sizes. So there is 1.8 mm, there's 1 mm, 1.8 mm, 2 mm, 3 mm, 4 mm, 6 mm, like that. And the larger the number, the larger the size of the feed. All right, so think of a grain of sand, think of rice, think of beans, think of granite. There are different sizes. That's how the feeds are also in different sizes. And what happens is that the cheaper, so most fish farmers are very quick to want to switch to a bigger sized feed because it's cheaper as they grow older. However, as I mentioned, you're always thinking of the smallest fish in your pond, so that the smallest fish can pick the feed and then they continue growing. All right, so yes, that's what we've done today. This is week 1 of our venture. You saw the fish in the pond, and you saw when we demodded the pond, and now we have fish in the ponds and we are netting it today. We'll start the first feeding tomorrow, and by next week I'll show you what the fishes look like. So once again, my name is Akin Fish. Do well to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you're also starting your fish season with me, let me know so that we can rub ideas, we can discuss what we are doing right now and discover when we want to sell our fishes. And we also have a smoking kiln on farm here. I'll show you that later. We also have a smoking kiln on farm here so we can process our fishes and move them out, all right? So once again, you're welcome. And if you have any questions, please ask in the comment section. My name again is Akin Fish. See you next time.